Quite often, I take a look at what new ROM hacks are out there for retro games, and a lot of times I'm really more into things that have added utility, quality of life improvements, translations, that kind of thing. But today we're going to be taking a look at something a little different. This is a ROM hack for Streets of Rage 2 called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Re-Revenge. So yeah, I'm sure you see why I'm interested in this. I really dug Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Love the Turtles games, and this one piqued my interest with all the changes that have been made to the game here. And I'm going to explain to you and show you how you can, get this set up for yourself as well. I tested this out quite a bit. I played through the entire game, and it's got a lot of cool little features. So all the characters have been replaced, all enemies, all the bosses. They added shadows to all the characters, enemies, and bosses. Some of the enemies will have new attacks. All the playable characters have been replaced by, Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, April O'Neil, Splinter, and Casey Jones. So you get to pick, one of those characters to play through the game. They have their attacks are very similar to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And then what else they got? Oh, juggling. They added juggling to the game. So you could juggle the enemies in the air to a degree. I didn't really notice this until later in the game when you have to refight some of the bosses from the game in the later stages, and you're kind of in a little more tight space type of thing. And I started noticing, man, some of these bosses can be a pain in the ass, but you get them in the corner and you just start juggling their ass, and kind of make quick work of them. So that was pretty cool. Also, being able to run, tapping forward twice is more sensitive and responsive in this ROM hack. You can also use your offensive special while running, and there's 6-button support as well. You could use the Y button on a Genesis controller to uppercut to do that move. There's no friendly fire in the game. New sound effects for characters and enemies, the players and enemies. There's a whole new story going on here. Changed title screen. They got story elements in the game, all that kind of good stuff. And one of the big things that they state for the first time in Streets of Rage 2 hacking, you could switch between normal and turbo mode as an option in the option screen. So you could just change it. And that's pretty cool here. So with turbo mode, it just kind of changes the delay between strikes when attacking enemies. And in their notes, they state if you leave it off, it's more so for, original Streets of Rage 2 fans. And then if you turn it on, it's more for people who like dynamic games. So that's the notes that they used. So in the game, all the sprites, they, for the characters and enemies and stuff, they got from, the actual Shredder's Revenge game and kind of adapted it to this. So that was really cool. Now, when I played this, initially I was like, you know what? I want to play this on original hardware. But let me bust out just the easiest thing is the analog Mega SG. So I tried playing it on the Mega SG with my Mega EverDrive Pro flash cart. So I patched it, and like I said, I'll show you how to do all that in a second. I patched it, got it on my EverDrive, loaded it up on the Mega SG, and while the game would boot up, as soon as you would make your selection of which character to play, stage 1, it just wouldn't load. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I fiddled around with some settings and whatnot. I couldn't get it to run on the Mega SG, the Sega Genesis clone console from Analog. And I do have an original Genesis, and it's not an original, not an OG, but it's a Sega Model 3 Genesis, the little tiny one. So I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, let me try it out on this little thing, and it ran for the most part till I got to a few stages in, and I got to a certain point. The game played fine, but then I got towards the end of one stage and I got hit by a particular weapon that electrocuted me, and it just froze the game. So playing on original hardware, like I said, I used a Model 3. I don't know if it's going to work on any other clone hardware or original hardware or certain flash cards, certain settings. I have no clue. It may be hit and miss. I mean, it just seemed like it was a fluke, but at that point I was like, you know what? The game froze. I played for 15-20 minutes at that point. I'm just going to switch to emulating it. So loaded it up in an emulator, and that's how I played through it. And I had no issues emulating it I didn't really see too many issues. Like there's nothing that broke the game. I tried mimicking that same thing, getting hit by that same character with the electric whip, and the game didn't freeze or anything. But yeah, there was that. Played through it, no problem emulating it. Like I said, if you want to play on original hardware, which is always like with ROM hacking, you never know. You just never know. Is it going to run on original hardware, or is it just going to be, you know, emulation only? And I think a lot of people are fine just emulating all this stuff. But me, it's like, it's always a bonus. If you could play this on original hardware, that's really cool. And this time, yeah, I'm not 100% if it's going to work for everyone out there. So, you know, patch this up, do everything I'm going to show you right now. But just realize, hey, it's going to run fine on emulation, but original hardware, I don't know. I haven't really heard from too many other people testing it out other than just playing it via emulation. So let's go ahead and show you how to do this. Okay, we're going to roll through this part as quick as we can to get you up and running playing Shredder's Re-Revenge for the Sega Genesis. First step, you're going to go to romhacking.net to this specific page. The link will be down below, so you can just click it and go straight here without having to search for it. Scroll down to where it says links, click download. This is going to be an IPS patch. Put it somewhere where you know where it's at. Then the next thing you're going to need to pay attention to is the database match that is listed here. You're going to need the ROM Streets of Rage 2 USA. These numbers are going to have to match. Now, if you already have ROM pack for a flash cart for the EverDrive, Mega SD type of thing, you most likely already have this ROM. So if you don't, I mean, I cannot like direct you or link you straight to any ROMs, but the Internet Archive is your friend. If you're looking for the Genesis Mega SD and Mega EverDrive ROM pack, is going to be in there, but just find that particular ROM, Streets of Rage 2 USA, and then we're going to make sure we have both of those things together, the IPS patch and the actual ROM, Streets of Rage 2. Don't rename it, just keep it the way it is. Then we're going to have to go ahead and unzip this, the actual IPS patch. So let me get that into here, and I'm going to get rid of the README. The README just says the same stuff that's on the romhacking.net page. Get rid of that. So we just want the IPS patch, Streets of Rage 2 USA.md, and we're ready to patch it. So there's numerous ways you could patch a game, you know, an IPS patcher. You could download an application. You can use an online, you know, ROM patcher. I've used this one a few times. I will link it down below, but you can just Google search online IPS patcher, and you'll find one. And typically every one that I've used, it's the same thing. It'll say ROM file, choose your ROM file. So we're going to click that, select our ROM file, Streets of Rage 2 USA, open that up. And as you see these numbers down here, like the SHA1, these numbers, it's telling you what they are for that ROM. They do match the one right here. So just double check that. If it says something different, you got the wrong version. Next, we're going to choose the actual patch. And as you see, it's only going to show the IPS patches because it knows that's what it's grabbing. IPS patch. Get that. So make sure Streets of Rage 2 and the Turtles Revenge IPS. Apply patch. And then it's going to say, hey, here's the patched version. You can go ahead and rename it if you want. TMNT, Shredder, I don't know, whatever. You don't have to rename it, but you can rename it and then go ahead and save it from there. And now you have your ROM file that you could throw onto a flash cart or just play through emulation. Like I said earlier, I don't know on original consoles or clone consoles if this is going to be 100% for everybody. I had issues with it, but emulating it, it was just fine. So there you go. Really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let me know what you think. Bye.